Thank you. Good morning. What is up, San Diego? Oh my God, look at you. This is crazy. I can't believe that I get to stand up here and do this. Creative Mornings is one of my favorite events, and I'm just really grateful to be here, and I'm excited about our theme today. But I gotta be honest with you, this is a bit of an intimidating room. You guys, this is such an inspiring creative community. I hope you guys all realize that. And it's my community. I live in South Park and I work in Hillcrest. And I don't know that I can do this justice, but I'm gonna give it a shot. What I do know is that time is the most important thing that you can give to someone because it's finite, right? We can't get more of it. So I just wanna take a second to say thank you, San Diego, for allowing me a few minutes of your time today. So let's get into it. That should have been the first slide. So yeah, that's my attempt to disarm you with this charming kitten photo here. Okay, so symmetry. This is our topic for today, and I love this theme. Symmetry is the beauty of proportional balance. And I think that we see this everywhere in the world, both in nature and the man-made world. And as creatives, I think you know how to leverage this in the work that you do. What I want to talk today about is an unlikely and maybe a little uncommon place where I think that we can find symmetry, and that is in the way that we conduct business. The symmetry, the balance of profit and purpose. So we're used to thinking of these things as mutually exclusive, right? One or the other. Historically, you sort of had two different options when you thought about your career. You could take the soul-crushing cubicle job, which would hopefully pay you well, or you could go the opposite route and take the fun, purposeful path that would allow you to make a difference, but probably not make as much money, right? Pick your poison. Today, I think that we can do both. I think that we have to do both. So let me just start by saying that profit is not a dirty word. Capitalism, I think, works. However, that system, that ideology seems rife with abuse. So I want to be crystal clear on this point that when we talk about profit and we talk about money, we're not talking about greed, okay? Don't be the Fire Festival guy. We're talking about symmetry here, okay? Balance. Profit is good. Profit is necessary if we're going to run a business. But it's how you make that profit and what you do with that profit that really matters, okay? Purpose. Now, I didn't always believe in this symmetry. I sort of hoped that it existed, right? But I didn't really know. It wasn't till I was exposed to the B Corp movement that this idea really started to take shape for me. Those of you that know me know that B Corps are something that I am extremely excited to talk about. And those of you that know me well are now rolling your eyes and thinking, oh God, dude, we get it. But I do think it's important to spread this message. So for those of you who are not familiar, B Corps are for-profit companies. They're certified by a nonprofit called B Lab to meet rigorous standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. Now, they just released their new creative marketing campaign, and it says, you cast a vote every day with the choices you make, what you buy, where you work, who you do business with. Every day is election day. Cool, right? So right now there's a little over 2,500 B Corps in the world in over 50 countries. And as of 2016, Visceral is one of them. And we are all united by a common purpose, and that is to use business as a force for good. Now, even if you're not familiar with B Corps, you may have heard the term social enterprise, social capitalism, conscious capitalism. These buzzwords make it seem like people, especially younger people, are starting to demand a better way of doing business, and that maybe, hopefully, some of these businesses are starting to finally change. But actually, this idea of fusing profit and purpose is actually not that new. From the very beginning of widespread capitalism and going all the way back to the Industrial Revolution, people have always demanded that businesses be better. So, real quick history lesson. Starting in the mid-1800s, industrial workers in both the United States and Europe demanded reform that respected basic human rights. The formation of labor unions and the passing of child labor laws held businesses accountable for people. A century later, in the 1960s, we had hippie slogans like think globally, act locally. And in 1970, the United States formed the Environmental Protection Agency, which held businesses accountable for their negative impact on the environment, both here in the United States and around the world. Today, consumers are demanding to know more about a business's profits, right? What are you going to do with that profit? What good are you going to do? Was that profit made in a socially responsible, ethical way? How much of that profit will be reinvested back into the business to continue to do good for both people and planet alike? People, planet, profit. In business today, this is what's called the triple bottom line, but these ideas go back decades. This is not a new concept, but it is a new era. So what's changed? The internet, right? The great democratizer. The difference between a factory worker in the 1850s and one today is that now we have these devices in our pockets that can broadcast our message to the world in seconds. I think there's enormous power in that. And as creatives, you guys wield a lot of power. I think that the power that you wield makes you the hope for our future, right? No pressure. Creatives shape public perception. That's really what we do, right? Through design, through code, through video, through content, all these tools that we use, we're really trying to convince someone to do something, to buy a product, to make a donation, to cast a vote, to come to an amazing event like this one. Creatives are the ones that shape our modern narrative. So, how you use your talents and who you use them for matters a lot, in my opinion. Every pixel that you push, every photo you take, every line of code, every story that you write is a vote for the type of world you want to live in. Now, up until Visceral, I didn't realize this. I thought of myself as just a developer. Okay, that was my sole identity. So I want everyone in this room to think about your power and how vital it is, because for the longest time, I didn't think that at all. Up until very recently, if you looked at my Twitter bio, it literally said, "Hi, my name is Jay, I write code." And that's true. I wrote a lot of code. I wrote code for 30 years. That is a long time. Now, some of you are thinking, this guy doesn't look old enough to have done anything for 30 years. And for those people, I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's true, because I started very, very young. So that's it. That's me. This is where it started. And this right here is a state-of-the-art 8-bit Commodore 64 computer, so named for its astonishing, at the time, 64 kilobytes of memory. And this thing could render graphics in a mind-blowing 16 different colors. Right? You see, I have this shirt here. Don't forget your roots. Okay, so I'm barely out of kindergarten, and I'm already learning to code, and I love it. Like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. It was either this or astronaut, but I'm anxious holding this microphone, so I'm not getting on a rocket ship. So high school in the 90s, learned HTML and was like building websites for my friends' bands and stuff like that and loving it. Went to college for media arts, graduated, moved to Washington, D.C. Okay, fun fact, this slide has no real point. I just can't stand in front of that other photo for that long. All right, so I'm in DC, and I take a job working for a massive public relations company. And I wrote a lot of code for a lot of their projects, and I worked my way up to vice president, which is not as impressive as it sounds. Places like that, you can throw a rock and hit a vice president. But still, I was doing good, right? Or so I thought. And my last year there, I spent several months working with a creative team on a big project, a Facebook app. Now, for you younger people in the room, Facebook used to have this thing where you can install like apps and games on your profile. It was weird and dumb, but like that was the thing. So that's what we were doing, right? 60, 70 hours a week. Sometimes sleeping in the office, sometimes not sleeping at all, to build this crazy thing for months, days and nights, time that we'll never get back. To do what? To sell ringtones to kids, right? But you know where we were going with that, right? Like, that's not the happy ending. I'll still work there. But that was what I thought about the power that I had, just to build stuff. But what good was it? So shortly after that, Visceral was founded, but not to change the world, not to be a B Corp, not to work with amazing organizations. I wish that that was our thought from the beginning, as it is how we think now. But at the time, we just wanted to do something different. Different, not even better. I don't even know what better looked like, so I'll just say this. If there's a better path in front of you, take it. But if you can't see a better path, maybe just look for a different one and see where that takes you. For me, it led me here to this awesome room, talking to you about the symmetry of profit and purpose, because now I get to work with clients that are trying to cure cancer, clients that are fighting climate change, reshaping education policy in America. Craft with purpose is one of Visceral's core values. And since we defined those values, we've had higher revenues and higher profit margins. And we use that to do things like paying for 90% of our team members and their dependents' healthcare benefits, a number that'll be 100% next year, and having a matching retirement plan, and this year doing our first ever big pro bono web project, which I am pretty excited about. So I hope you'll think about that, about the power that you have as creatives and how vital it is. You're not just a designer, just a coder, just a writer. You are strategists and problem solvers, and you are the ones that shape our experience and our discourse. And I think we need that now more than ever. I think we need creatives in business to help accelerate the pace of social change. The unfortunate truth is that the change we want to see in this world doesn't always happen fast enough through government or nonprofits. A sustainable business model which generates a profit and funnels that profit back towards a grander purpose can just help us move the needle a little bit faster. Now, this can sometimes be a bit of a point of contention, so I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that businesses replace nonprofits or policy or legislation. I just think that we need to tackle challenges from all angles, and business has a role to play. And I also think, quite frankly, that we need to make saving the world profitable so that more people like you want to do it. Okay, so now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, great, that's cool. Like, I get that, that sounds fun, but I have student loans, and San Diego is a crazy expensive city, and I just need a job or a client, and I can't afford to be that picky, right? I hear you, I do. I have been there. I am currently there. As Dana mentioned, Visceral turns 13 this year. Our birthday is May 26th. And while I'm incredibly proud of my team who's up here and the work that we've done and what we've accomplished in the last 13 years, I still think that there's a long road ahead of us to be ultimately where we want to be. It's a long journey with a lot of tiny steps. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. It's always pushing forward in the right direction to try to be better and be on the right side of the line, even if it's just a little bit. So, as we wrap this up here today, I want to leave you with something that I hope that you can use in your careers and your life as a whole. Full disclosure. Transparency is a B Corp value, so I have to be transparent here. This is not my idea. I'm borrowing this from one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite creatives. His name is Neil Gaiman, and in 2012 he gave the commencement address at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. It's a great talk. Some of you may have seen it. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. He says to visualize what you want in your career, in your life, your perfect storybook, happy ending. Visualize that as a mountain. Everything that you do is either a step toward or away from that mountain. Now, if you can find a direct flight to the top of your mountain, by all means, get on the plane. But for most of us, that path is long and it winds, and sometimes we have to take a step back in order to move forward later on. I tell the ringtone app story because I think it's funny and it makes my point, but the truth is that I learned a great deal from that about code, about design and user experience, about working as a team, about managing stress and deadlines. So I'm extremely grateful for that experience and that job and all those people I met when I was in DC, because I would not be here today if it wasn't for experiences like that that pushed me a little bit farther on my path towards my mountain. So to achieve this beautiful symmetry of profit and purpose in our own creative endeavors, we have to always be asking ourselves, is what I'm doing right now moving me closer to my mountain? And if it's not, to pause and reflect on what will and take that step, no matter how small it might be. So my final thought for you today about how you can use this in your creative endeavors: be good at what you do and do something good. This was the subtitle of the book that we wrote for Visceral's 10-year anniversary. I stand by it wholeheartedly, but this is Creative Mornings San Diego, so we're going to upgrade it. Be amazing at what you do, my friends, and go out and do amazing things. Thank you so much, San Diego.